What does that even mean, Bowers Game Corner?
Ahoy there, YouTube! I'm back again today for another game review. Today I'm very excited to check out Thurn and Taxis from Rio Grande Games. This is for 2 to 4 players. Age is 10 plus. It'll take you about 60 minutes to play. And Thurn and Taxis was the Spiel des Jahres winner in 2006. It was a fantastic game back then about creating routes on the German postal system. And many people believe that it was actually one of the games that sparked a lot of the ideas for Ticket to Ride. But has the game aged well? Let's open it up and check it out. Alright then, we're going to take a look at what you're going to get inside of Thurn and Taxis from Rio Grande Games. First and foremost, we have our handy dandy rule booklet. It is 2 pages, double-sided, full color, full of pictures, illustrations, examples, all the good stuff you like, and it's pretty well done. It'll have you up and running pretty much in no time at all, as long as you be sure to check out this little helpful play example, which will really help you out a lot. But a lot of people, I think, would probably skip it because the front is actually just the history of the German postal system, which is what this game is about, even though that is a pretty interesting read on its own. So in Thurn and Taxis, what are you going to be doing? Well, you're going to be acquiring cards a la Ticket to Ride, even though this did come before Ticket to Ride. And then you're going to be building routes that will be Canadian, or not Canadian, will be German postal routes. You're going to be laying down these little houses right here, which will symbol that you have locations there. And those houses are going to acquire you these little tiles right here, which will earn you victory points. Clear as mud. Well, I'll go ahead and go over the components. It'll show you how the game plays, and hopefully you'll be able to pick it up, because it is a pretty simple game. So first and foremost, we have our board right here. It is a map of, I believe, Germany. It's got Augsburg, Ulm, Basel, Zurich, a whole bunch of places in Germany. They're all different color-coded because there's going to be some cards over here which will have those cities, and those will also be color-coded. So for instance, Budweis is orange, so we could quickly go over here and see Budweis is right over there. There's only 2 cities in orange, so it won't be too hard to find. You're going to have a big old stack of these cards, and then you're also going to have 6 spots on the board here where you can play them. So, next what do we got? We're going to have these little houses. They're going to come in all 4 colors because this is a 2 to 4 player game. And you're going to get a bunch of these little houses. These are what you're going to be playing on the board, and they will be one of the end game win trigger conditions, which I'll mention right now. The game ends when someone has a route that is 7 cities long, or if someone completely uses all their houses and they use the last of their houses, at which point everyone else will get one more turn, or I should say everyone who has had everyone will get an equal number of turns, and then the game will end. You'll tally up your points, and the winner will obviously be the one with the most points. So, continuing on with the board, you're going to have these little carriages right here. And the longer carriages, or the longer routes you create, the more victory points you're going to get. So, as I mentioned, 7 is going to be one of the win trigger conditions, and if you're able to do that, you're going to get 10 points. Likewise, if you get 3, you will only get 2. Now, you're not going to score. So, for instance, if you completed a bunch of 3 routes, you're not going to get each and every one of these. This is one of those things where you're just going to upgrade it. So for instance, you might start off and do a 3 route, and then you would get this card, which would be 2 points at the end of the game. But then next time, you might, complete one that's worth 4. So you would get rid of your original 3 card and then acquire this one, which now would mean that you'd have 3 points at the end of the game. Continuing onward, you're going to have this little card right here, which is just to remind you of which color you are. Other than that, it's pretty useless. And you are going to have this little tile right here, which is a little cheat sheet card. And it actually is pretty useful, even though you will pretty much know what you're doing very, very quickly on in the game. As you can see, there are only 3 steps in the turn summary. Last but not least, you're going to have various different victory points scattered around the board for you to earn. And how these work are along with the houses. So for instance, if you wanted to try and acquire these victory points right here, you would need to have 3 houses on all 3 of these spots right here on the green and the dark green. You would have to have a house on Ulm, a house on Stuttgart, and a house on Sigmaringen. And every time that you scored a route at this point, you would now acquire one of these. So let's just say you complete another route, say over here, let's just say, and then you would then again get this. So every time, as long as you have the houses there, you're going to be acquiring these delicious victory points. So you definitely want to try and get those. So this doesn't make much sense to you now, but let's go over the gameplay and it will make some sense. So on your turn, you are going to take 3 actions. The first one you're going to do is you're going to add a city card to your hand. And the city cards are over here. And so let's just say we might start off, we might take Zurich. So we take Zurich, put that into our hand, and then this is going to replenish itself. Now on the first turn of the game, you're going to take 2 cards, because each turn you're also going to be able to do 1 special ability action. But we'll get more into that later. So I've added a city card to my hand. Next what I'm going to do is I'm going to play a city card, which means I'm just going to put a card down in front of me. So I'd say, alright, I'm going to play my Zurich card right now. Then the third action, which you won't do most of the time, is to score played cards, and you need at least 3 cards in a row. So you need 3 cards of the same city. So right now, I have Zurich down here. Obviously, I only have 1 card, so my turn is over. Everyone else would do the exact same thing, and then we would rinse, wash, and repeat. So my next turn, I might take Basil, and you say, I'm really happy with this Basil. I'd flip it and replace a card. Another Basil comes up. And then I would say, what do I want to do now? And this is where I'm going to mention the 4 special abilities that you have. The first one that you're going to be able to do is you're going to be able to play the Postmaster, which will allow you to add 2 cards to your hand instead of 1. So now, I'd look over here and say, you know what, I really need to acquire some cards. So I have Zurich, I have Basil in my hand, and none of these are really that close. None of these are really going to help me. So you know what, I'm going to go ahead and use that ability, and I'm going to take the second card off the top, and bloop, I now have Munchin, which is still not very much help, but now I'm on to the next phase, which means I have to play one of these 2 cards. Well, Zurich does not connect to Munchin, so I obviously can't play that card, which means I have to play Basil. So I'll connect Zurich to Basil, and now my turn is up. So everyone takes their turn, we go back around to me, and I'm looking at the board and I'm saying, oh man, nothing connects to Zurich and Basil. This is bad, because you have to play a card down here. If you can't play a card that connects to either Zurich or Basil, then what's going to happen is you're going to have to wipe this away, which is definitely not something you want to do. Also, I couldn't just acquire the Basil and go Basil to Zurich to Basil, because you can only have 1 city in a route. You can't have 2 of the same city. So next, I'm going to show you one of the other 4 special abilities you can do. I mentioned where you can draw 2 cards. Another option you can do is you can completely wipe everything out and get 6 brand spanking new cards. So for this turn, I would probably do that special ability and say, all right, boom, give me something good out here. So we got Nuremberg, Ingolstadt, Wurzburg, Nuremberg, Pilsen, and Lodz. So I look over here and I say, I need Kempten. I need Kempten, Freiburg. I need stuff that did not come up. So I am in a world of hurt right now. I have nothing that I'm going to be able to play. But luckily, I'll take one from the top. Let's see if I get lucky. I got Budweiser. I did not get lucky. So this kind of stinks, because what's going to happen is I'm going to have to wipe this out, and then I'm going to have to start a new city. But for the sake of this game, I'm actually not going to do that, and we're just going to draw a card that will connect, and we'll say, oh, we got lucky enough, and we drew Kempten right here. So we draw Kempten, we put Basil, Zurich to Kempten, and we'd say, holy moly, we have successfully completed this route if we would like to do that. So at this point, I will show you how the route scoring is worked. So I have completed a route. It's now into the scoring phase. And how this works is I could either get Basil and Zurich because they're the same color, or I could get either or Basil, Kempten, and or Basil and Zurich and Kempten. So essentially, you can put hound houses on each of a single color or on one of every single color. So for instance, if I went to Zurich, to Freiburg, to Sigmaringen, to Kempten, that would be a great turn, because then I would be able to put 4 houses on there, and obviously having more houses on there is going to be very good for you. Now let's fast forward a little bit into the game. Before we do that, though, I do want to show you the other 2 special abilities that are on the card. The first one, so we mentioned completely wiping everything off the board. We mentioned the Postmaster, where you're going to draw 2 cards over here instead of 1. Then we have the Postal Carryout, which will allow you to play 2 cards to your route down here instead of just 1. Very, very useful. And then we'll mention the final one, the Cartwright. Actually, we'll do it right now. So let's just pretend that I decided to score Basil, Zurich, and Kempten. So I would go Zurich, and then I would go Kempten, and I'd take everything out. And you can only use 1 special ability per turn, but let's pretend that I didn't use my special ability, and I still would be able to do the Cartwright. So, since I had a 3 route, normally I would acquire this one right here, this 3 right here. However, the Cartwright lets you get a new carriage with 2 fewer city cards. So I would actually be able to have acquired this 5 right here, which means I have 5 victory points at the end of the game, which would be great. So that's how you're going to be taking most of your turns. Let's go over how you're going to collect these scoring tiles right here. So if you ever complete a route with 5, you'll get one of these ones right here. A route with 6 will get you this one, and a route with 7 will get you that one. So obviously, those ones are pretty self-explanatory. This one right here is if you ever trigger the end of the game, that person will get 1 point. This one is very difficult to get, but if you have one house in every single color on the board, you're going to collect 6 points, and then 5 points, and 4 points. And then we have the ones scattered all around the board. So I'll show you this one right here, right now. So let's say I had Stuttgart, Ulm, and Sigmaringen, and that's just the route I create. That would be a fantastic route because that would mean I would have successfully completed this 3-pointer right here. So I would do that, I would go about my merry way, and I would be very, very happy. Now let's say the next route, I get even luckier, and I am able to acquire all these purple cards right here, and I do Freiburg to Karlsruhe to Mannheim. So now I would score this route, and in addition to getting this purple 3, since I just played that, I would also get this other green because I still have my post offices there. So you kind of want to diversify up, and eventually they're going to run out, but still you can score a lot of points when you do that. So that's how you're going to be scoring points. At the end of the game, as I mentioned, the game end is going to trigger when someone completes a route that has 7 on it, or if someone uses all their houses. You're going to look at all your tiles down here. You're going to add those up along with your carriage points down there. You're going to subtract the amount of houses that you did not use, and then you're going to say, hey, I got this many points, and whoever has the most points will be the winner of Thurn and Taxis, and that, in a jumbled nutshell, is how the game is played. Oh, great dokery. Thurn and Taxis from Rio Grande Games. What am I thought of? Well, let's go over the pros, let's go over the cons. First, on the con side, the game's not going to be for everybody. It's still a very, very simple game. It's still in the gateway game ilk of complexity-wise, which is not going to be everybody's cup of tea. Also, it has 2 to 4 players, which is a real Achilles heel because that's a very limited player count, especially when a game that many people would consider to be better in Ticket to Ride plays 2 to 5. So that is kind of a problem there. Also, the game's theme is pretty boring to most people. Now, me personally, I don't mind the theme, and I actually liked reading the little pamphlet and the information about it, but it's by no means a theme that is gripping, or this game really isn't dripping with theme either. Also, the game has a little bit more setup than, say, other games of the same ilk. I mean, you have to make sure you got all the tiles in the right spot, and you put it in there, and doing this and that, and set everything up on the board. If the board gets bumped, things get mixed around. But that's really all I got on the con side. Moving on to the pro side, Thurn and Taxis has aged very, very well. It is still a fantastic game that I highly recommend. But the real question is, if you have Ticket to Ride, should this be in your collection as well? That's a tough question to answer. Because me personally, Ticket to Ride is one of my favorite games of all time. But I really, really like this game. It's fantastic, top notch, it's tight. Every single game is just very, very tight, and I like the fact that you don't score too many points. Ticket to Ride, you get those ludicrous scores, people scoring 110, 120, 130. No. A high score in this game is like 35, 40, 45 points. That's a high score in this game, so it's a very tight game, and I like that. Every single game is tight. You rarely have runaway leaders, because normally people will focus on different parts of the map, and you can't block other people from different parts of the map, which some people are going to like. What else do I like about the game? It's a very, very simple game, but there's still a good deal of strategy. Which of the special abilities do you use on each turn? Which cities do you acquire? Do you worry about, say, acquiring a city that will be part of your next round, or do you just focus on now? Do you gamble? I mean, there's a little bit of push your luck on certain aspects of this game, and I just like it an awful lot. But the question is it better than Ticket to Ride? And the answer is no. It's just not. I still like Ticket to Ride better, even though I feel like this does have just a little teeny added bit of complexity. So if you like just a little teeny bit of added complexity to, say, your typical gateway games, then this one might be for you. And also, if you play with a player count of 2 to 4 very consistently, I absolutely think Thurn and Taxis is one that maybe, if you're into these kind of games, that I would recommend having on your shelf in addition to Ticket to Ride. Which brings me to the question. I have Ticket to Ride on my shelf, and I don't typically play 2 to 4 player games unless I'm with my wife. We normally have a bigger gaming group. We also don't normally play gateway games. So the question is, am I going to keep this game? And yes, I am going to keep this game, partially because I have the expansion. I want to review the expansion, so I'll review that, in the future, but also because I have a feeling this is a game that I'm going to take up to the lake with me, because my grandma has like this little lake cottage thing, and I want to bring up some games up there, but I don't want to bring the heavy hitters. I don't want to bring Ticket to Ride up there, and then have Ticket to Ride being up there, and then people come to my house and want a great gateway game, be like, oh, I don't have Ticket to Ride. So I'm kind of rambling here. But needless to say, Thurn Taxis is still a fantastic game if you can get past the fact it's 2 to 4 players, and if you can get past the fact that Ticket to Ride, at least in my humble opinion, is a little bit of a better game. But that being said, Thurn Taxis age very well. Definitely one to check out, and definitely one to try and see if it is your cup of tea. So, if you enjoyed this content, please be sure to click on the subscribe button down below, and in the comments below, let me know, did you think the German, God, I'm so bad at it. The German postal system is an interesting theme. For me personally, I think it could be, but really, yeah, no, okay, never mind, it's not. So, just in the comments below, do you like Pop-Tarts or Toaster Strudels? Which one's better? Of course, the answer is Toaster Strudel, but I guess some of you odd ducks like Pop-Tarts because they're easier to make. You just pop them in there, go about your business. Whereas Toaster Strudel, you gotta open a little packet, you gotta spread it around, you get all that stuff on your shirt, and you got the white stain on your shirt, like, what's that on your shirt, Tim? I thought this was, good. Hey, thanks for your time, YouTube. That was a review for Thurn Taxis. For more reviews and previews, check back at Bowers Game Corner. Hey, how you doing?